Welcome back to Hard Ticket to Halloween. We're doing our special October Halloween horror movie marathon this week, and I am Jeffrey Boggess.
Ooh, and I'm Tristan Moore. And we have a special guest here today.
Jeffrey Scott, or Jay Scotty if you're nasty. Jeffrey Scott's perfectly fine, though.
So Jeff is joining us from the Head on a Stick podcast, which specializes in horror movies.
Oh, yeah, just all horror all the time. Just crazy, goofy stuff, bloody stuff. We try to run the gamut, right? So we do like some hardcore horror films. We do some stuff that maybe stretches the definition a little more, but probably has made a few people scared.
And we thought this was a good time for us to cross paths. You guys have been doing the podcast longer than we've been doing ours, and we're really excited to cross over. I think next week we're supposed to have your co-host, Aaron Radcliffe, on as well. So we're excited to be here together.
Yeah, very exciting.
So totally happy to be here, guys. I love podcasts. Been listening to them forever, and mine's been out for like a year or so, and just happy to be a guest on somebody else's, right? I just get to sit back and make witty commentary. I don't have to think about anything else.
Yes, we're going to implement a zinger dinger in post-production. Every time you have something witty, we'll just do a little ding.
See, my tie just kind of rolls up and goes, zoom, zoom, but it's audio format, unfortunately.
So, this week, we are getting into a genre of horror that we're definitely going to need a little bit of help on, which is why we invited Jeff into the studio. Horror already isn't much of mine or Tristan's go-to genre, and this is a brand of horror that we definitely don't frequent. But one of the movies was suggested by a friend of ours and listener of the podcast, Hannah Moyer. We're doing this to kind of show you guys that we are listening, and we do take requests, and we are happy to steer the conversation in a way that you would enjoy the show more. So, Hannah, this one's for you. Tristan, why don't you go ahead and start us off with option number A?
Yeah, option number A is a 2005 Eli Roth directed film called Hostel. If you know anything about Hostel, you know that it is a splatter film, maybe a torture porn.
That's
film.
the official moniker.
Yeah, it sort of coined the torture porn.
Or a gorno, which I hate that term. I despise it. So
or gorer is what I joked about last week.
Yeah.
Anyways, kind of infamous film. It stars, let's see, Jay Hernandez and Derek Richardson. I don't really know these guys from anything else.
Jay Hernandez was also El Diablo in Suicide Squad. Where he's like, I will not flame you for my daughter. Or something like that.
Is that the shitty Suicide Squad?
The shitty one, yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember if that's the or just Suicide.
I think it's Suicide and then The Suicide.
Yep.
Is this James Gunn? Anyways. It stars, it's a couple of backpackers who head to Eastern Europe. It starts off in Amsterdam, and they are just college students looking to have a good time, looking for sex and drugs. And along the way, they receive a tip that if you go to Slovakia, Eastern Europe, you're going to find some killer babes, which is exactly what they find.
It's the famous vacation spots in Eastern Bloc Europe. Everyone just loves going where the sun don't shine. Everything's made of concrete.
Yeah, they literally say that World War II decimated the male population. So all the women there are desperate for...
Still reeling from it.
Yes, desperate for specifically American men. So, yeah, it's a fun one. And we have it paired up with House of a Thousand Corpses, option number B. Jeff.
Yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses, Rob Zombie's inaugural debut. I feel like this film is more infamous for some of the material it contains in the film itself. If you know anything, you probably know Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig as the Americana clown that says a lot. That is the first time you have to censor that word, won't be the last. And just a lot of nasty, psychotic, redneck, hillbilly stuff. His whole genre of music and film is called hellbilly. Think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, except like even more methed out, basically.
Yeah. If you've been listening to this podcast from the beginning, or even just past couple episodes, we can't get away from this sort of killer hillbilly archetype that comes up a lot, not even just in horror movies, but in dramas and suspense and all that stuff. But House of a Thousand Corpses stars, I think it's a pre-Office Rainn Wilson. Mm-hmm. He looks so young. He could be anything at this point in his career. He doesn't have to just be Dwight.
It's a pre-sex scandal Chris Hardwick.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and Walton Goggins shows up as just like a lieutenant sheriff.
Pre-hair transplant Walton Goggins. I didn't know his head could get any bigger.
Yeah, but he proved us all. Yeah, so basically that's the gist. House of a Thousand Corpses, they're driving across the country, taking note of all these like tourist trap kind of destinations, writing a book.
Yeah. They're like ethnographers. You could call them generously ethnographers. They're parachuting in and out of these roadside attractions, and they meet Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding.
Yeah,
and
Sid Haig.
He kind of calls him out a little bit.
Yeah. They're immediately asking all these questions about, what's it like and what's this and what's that. And Sid Haig is like, why the hell are you asking so many stupid questions? Just enjoy the show, which is really kind of the thesis of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, Rob Zombie directed several music videos prior to this film, right? I'm 100% sure he just took all the craziest stuff you ever wanted to put in a music video. He's like, oh, hell, I need a narrative. So he just ripped off Texas Chainsaw and then put all the crazy music video imagery in it.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie is definitely a voice that he comes up in a lot of horror conversations. He had his own take on the Halloween series. He had his own take on the Munsters, apparently.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen like community theater of A Christmas Carol that had better production values than that Munsters movie. I have no idea what the hell happened with that one. That was 5 years ago. I think that was the nail in the coffin. He hasn't released anything since.
I've been aware of Rob Zombie for a while. My high school girlfriend, she loved Rob Zombie. She loved like Five Finger Death Punch. She loved like Neck Deep, all of this like kind of emo subculture stuff. And Rob Zombie was, of course, a big name that came up a lot. So Hannah, you're channeling your e-girl in today's matchup. House of a Thousand Corpses was a movie she really wanted us to cover, and she didn't make a suggestion as to what we were going to pair it up with. And we were going in blind, Tristan and I, anyway.
Yeah.
Tristan suggested we pair it with Hostel. And we kind of kicked this matchup around a little bit. And I think we landed on the right call here. Why compare these two movies is the big question. Jeff, as our guest, what comes to mind when you put these two movies in the same conversation?
Well, so Hostel was not Roth's directorial debut. That was Cabin Fever, but it was still very early on in his career. So I would say that both of these are early films from very divisive directors who are kind of more known for style over substance, for just super gory, nasty shit without necessarily a lot of like things beyond the gory, nasty shit.
Yeah.
And also that have had careers that have sort of petered off lately. So they're both kind of guys that had like a moment in the early 2000s where just gory ass, nasty movies were mainstream. You could go to the theater and watch someone get their eyeball cut out or get shot by a clown or lots of other horrible things done to them by various entities.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's a fair comparison there. And also I would say that they're different in the sense that Hostel is a surprisingly sterile film. Like, it's very to the bone. There's not a lot of things in it. I mean, it's excessive, but it's not like narratively weird, right? Whereas House is just like, I don't even know what the hell it is. It's just a long series of crazy shit.
Yeah, House is definitely leaning more into like kind of the amusement park kind of vibe. As a film, it's edited within an inch of its life, whereas Hostel is a very brutalist kind of movie. It's very concrete in its aesthetics, but it's also a lot more patient. I'm sure the cuts are a fraction of the cuts you will find in House of a Thousand Corpses. There's cuts, like 500 cuts a minute in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Honestly, probably like somebody holding a boom mic sneezed or something. They're like, all right, well, we don't have any more film, so we got to use that one.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a very stark contrast compared to the fact that they're covering very similar things. You used the term torture porn earlier. That comes up in both scenarios. You have this group of country traveling young adults who get kind of held hostage by the Firefly family versus these Americans in Europe who get, kidnapped and taken to a place where they're tortured and brutally murdered by
Elite Hunting Club.
Elite Hunting Club, yes. And the whole thing behind that organization is that they're just this shadow organization. They're global. They bring all these people to pay like tens of thousands of dollars to kill people in gruesome ways.
They actually have a list of prices, and like $10,000 to me, I don't know if this sounds bad. It seems kind of cheap, doesn't it? Like, I know it was 2005 inflation,
but it was
but
2005. You got to take inflation into account.
Houses were cheaper, murder vacations were cheaper. I mean, it's just a good time to be alive.
Yeah, the Bush economy.
Yeah, I think killing an American is the most expensive. It's like $25,000. It shows you how badly people want to kill Americans. There's definitely a whole market for it in Hostel.
I mean, after the first half of this film, I was kind of right there with them, man. These characters were pretty rough.
Yeah, they are pretty rough. So like the dialogue in these movies too is like you have Hostel where it's just so vulgar for the first 20 minutes. It's just these boys in Europe who are they're just vulgar. Like there's nothing out of their mouth that I really feel comfortable
I am
repeating.
the king of the swing. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, stuff like that. And then when you go over to House of a Thousand Corpses, it's like all these characters are talking in this really, it's like they can't land a line quite. They're like calling each other like Mr. Coffeehead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just like this really cheeky, friendly dialogue to show that they bust each other's balls, you know?
I think some of the writing in House is really good from the villain characters, like some of the Manson speeches and shit, like Sid Haig just going off like on the robbers at the very beginning. But like the normal dialogue is awful. So I'm just thinking like Rob Zombie doesn't know how to talk like a normal person, so he can't write for a normal person.
Yeah, well, Rob Zombie's also admitted that he knew that no one was going to care about the teenage characters, the victims. So he just didn't really put that much effort into them because he knew that like people like Captain Spaulding and Dr. Satan would be way more memorable.
I mean, how many people have like a Rainn Wilson from House of a Thousand Corpses poster? I have like 3 Captain Spaulding posters.
I never even have heard that he was in a movie like this. So.
No, I was very surprised. And I think he does a really good job. I think these kids, but I don't remember their names. You know, they don't have a whole lot of personality. They're just there to be, you know, led to the slaughter, which is kind of the theme of these movies.
Yeah, being led to the slaughter. It just kind of, it's the journey. It's the journey that matters. And these films do go about it in 2 different ways. You get like House of a Thousand Corpses is almost like, it was kind of John Waters-esque. Like I was getting like Pink Flamingos
just
vibes.
trashy characters that speak in ways that don't make sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Very eccentric. The Firefly family, or I mean, every character in there feels like an archetype that has been like perverted in some way.
I feel like it's somebody who maybe took some ketamine and then like read a lot of Mark Twain. Like it's got this sort of southern, very baldy dialect to it. Like it sounds like Faulkner in a way, you know?
Yeah, they live in like a southern Gothic house too. But it is like a Western kind of, because it takes place like
it's in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, is it in Texas? So it's like it has like a sort of desert aesthetic too.
I really just thought Manson the whole time, man. It's like the Spaulding Ranch even. That was the name of the ranch Manson had, was the Spaulding Ranch, right?
I don't know if you would be the one to know that.
I'm like, look, if I'm wrong here, then, you know, someone can come and kidnap me and, you know, go blah, 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 and stab me, whatever Manson did. But maybe that's connection there, right? It's Captain Spaulding Ranch.
I definitely, one of my first thoughts watching this, it was at the beginning of House of a Thousand Corpses when there's like a robbery and they're like holding the clown hostage at the counter. I was like, this is like something Jeff would write in one of his comics a little bit.
Yeah. It's pretty close.
I mean that as a compliment too, because it's very iconic. I was drawn in from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And once the teens are kidnapped, they're being held hostage, and they're like, there's the whole aesthetic of like the Killer Hicks that is a real sore spot for me, but towards at the beginning, like they're just so bizarre that I can't even like
they're
say.
Lovable.
Well, no.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
They actually kind of become like the rogue heroes in the sequels, which is problematic in many different ways. But I do think the lovable thing, that was intended for better or worse. Most people would say for worse.
Yeah, well, the first thing that they do before they know that they're like hostages is like they put on this like burlesque show for
Grandpa
them.
like showing off how to basically find a little man in the canoe. It was, I don't know if the old man really needed to tell me that, you know? He's been doing it a long time.
Yeah. It was like a Betty Boop like lip sync track, and you know they're leaning into sort of almost like this drag culture kind of thing.
Vaudeville,
yeah, which is like stooped in sin in the early 2000s. So it's you get that a little bit, but then they probably do lean way more into like a lot of the more familiar tropes after that bizarre sequence when you get the main guy who's playing, what's the main Firefly family? Like
Otis is like the crazy Manson guy with the long hair.
Yeah.
Baby's Sherry Moon Zombie, who is Rob Zombie's wife and who can't act. And Captain Spaulding is the clown. Those are the main 3.
Yeah, so Otis, like he's trying to do this Appalachian accent that just falls so flat. I get the feeling that he's like a Canadian actor or something. And
Bill Moseley's like a huge name in horror. He was also Chop Shop in Texas Chainsaw 2. So he's like a well-known character actor. He's probably not known outside of these films. He pretty much plays the same guy and everything, right? He just does a lot of rants. He waves his arms a lot. It's
oh yeah, and you know the Zombies leaning into that aesthetic of horror. He's sort of, you know, like coining it in the 21st century as well. He's taking a lot of inspiration from Texas Chainsaw, contrast that very starkly with what Eli Roth is doing in Hostel, which releases to the mainstream in January 2006, and is like, so they're not doing this like character that's trying to enter the horror zeitgeist or anything. They are very much just about like how barbaric this stuff is.
Yeah, it's about like the system that is going to chew these guys up instead of like, the one like Dr. Satan. There's no Dr. Satan in Hostel. I mean, the movie itself even starts as like a teen sex comedy almost before there's like this
so depraved at the beginning.
I mean, honestly, the way I kind of would put it is like if someone had a House of 1,000 Corpses poster, which I do, that's fine. That's not a red flag. If someone had like a Hostel poster, I'm like, okay, you like the movie, but that's a bit much. Like, what are we doing here?
But yeah, and I gotta say, because I've seen the Hostel poster, and it's like this weird like tool.
Well, not even so much the poster. It's just like you like this film so much. I mean, it's a film you can appreciate. If someone told you they watched Hostel like 20 times, would you like want to like go to a barbecue with that guy?
Well, hey, this is not the time to determine your hard ticket yet, Jeff. We already know which one you're leaning toward.
Fair enough.
But I've seen the poster for Hostel. It's like this like weird like scalpel looking thing or whatever. And you watch the movie, and it's really weird because like the soundtrack is like almost like a fairy tale soundtrack. It's a very conventional film soundtrack, and the look of the film is pretty conventional until they get to Slovakia, and there's like this midpoint turn. And I feel like you have something kind of similar. There is like a midpoint turn with House of 1,000 Corpses where like after our like teenagers become victims, like it definitely focuses more on like the monsters, the villains.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's interesting to me, like the way that Eli Roth is more patient with the way he's setting things up.
Yeah,
before he pulls the rug out.
He definitely says a lot with less, or sets out to anyway. And you know, Tarantino is a big champion of this film as well. His name is like Tarantino presents Eli Roth's Hostel.
Yeah,
he apparently really pushed him to make this movie. And I think a lot of the criticisms that I've seen people have just reading about it in prep for this episode are like, you know, when does it become so male gazy, like a commentary on it, but also still playing into it? That's a thing with Tarantino a lot, that he glorifies violence, that kind of thing. This movie definitely shows a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's in a more extreme manner, where it's like Tarantino's like, I would totally do this, but I have a reputation to uphold. But Eli, you go for it, and I will help you make it.
Yeah, you would never like call the guy who says the N-word on camera like classy, but I mean, in this case, like he is a little bit classier than Eli Roth. Like you don't see Marvin, like you don't see a head-on shot of Marvin getting his head blown up. I feel like in an Eli Roth film, you'd probably see Marvin's head explode like Scanner style. And it's like, yeah, Eli Roth, he doesn't shy away from the TNA at the beginning of this movie, but he also doesn't shy away from the violence at the end, including the cathartic violence at the end, which at the, you know, eventually we root for, says something about that.
Well, it's a full, you know, turntable moment at the end when our guy is like trying to torture the torturers. And that's, again, that's another Tarantino, like revenge fantasy kind of thing. You got that with like Kill Bill. I get a lot of Kill Bill from this.
I would say like Hostel, it wouldn't have worked at all if they hadn't been as explicit in both realms. Like if they had just been explicit in the violence but not the sex, or explicit in the sex and not the violence, it had to make both the utmost extreme in order to kind of contrast, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Because I mean, the whole point of Hostel is like these guys come to Eastern Europe and they're Americans. They're kind of entitled. They're like piggish and everything.
Yeah,
and they feel like, you know, they can throw their money around and buy sex and drugs at will, and it doesn't really matter. And they're content to kind of look at this machine. It's like a meat grinder, basically. Mm-hmm. But as soon as they become part of the meat grinder, it's a problem. So you do have to like show them not only partaking in the grinder, but also becoming the meat that is ground up. And that's important.
Oh, yeah. Like. And I think a really great scene in Hostel towards the end, when Paxton is just on the cusp of escaping, he comes face to face with a guy who's about to go into one of these torture rooms and kill somebody, basically. Mm-hmm. And he has that whole exchange. And the guy literally says,
I've been all over the world. You know, I've been everywhere. And the bottom line is pussy's pussy. You know, every strip club, every whorehouse, it's all the same shit. You know, I just f***ed a girl 2 days ago, and I don't even remember the color of her tits. But this is something you never forget, right?
And that just says so much about, like, when does that extremity turn into that entitled extremity, turn into something where you are a monster.
Yeah, sure, man. I think both of them are about just a feeling of safety no matter what. Like, I can go into these dangerous areas and do these dangerous things, and I'm going to be fine. And in reality, the boogeyman is out there, as House of a Thousand Corpses explicitly says. I think they use the line boogeyman. But one really kind of shows how America can eat its own, while the others is like how other countries can eat America. But end of the day, if you're not careful, you get consumed, right? Like, there's a bigger fish somewhere out there ready to snatch onto you.
Well, it's interesting because, like, yeah, in House of a Thousand Corpses, it is Americans being killed by Americans. And so that depravity that I think you're touching on in American lifestyle is present mostly in the villains. There's a little bit of commentary about like parachuting in and out, like you said, Tristan, but like it's absolutely in the villains versus like they almost have that one-to-one with the protagonists at the beginning of Hostel, who are just like
these were the worst characters I've seen in a movie in a minute. I mean, like Jay, I was so upset when he was the one who survived. I was like, God damn it. Like of these three, that was the one I hated the most. I have to see him the most.
Yeah, they kill off the ones that, I mean, there's a final girl in House of a Thousand Corpses. Is her name, is it Mary, who survives?
I can't remember.
That's the thing. Like the only one I really remember is Rainn Wilson's character because he's like the most sensible, and honestly, I think he turns in probably the best performance out of all of them.
And he's Dwight from The Office.
Dude, Chris Hardwick ran Talking Dead before he got fired for being a sex pest, all right? Talking Dead had a lot of viewers. Not as many as The Walking Dead.
It's the Nerdist, dude. Nerdist.
You would take him and you'd put him in Hostel and he would be right at home, honestly.
Yeah.
Although there is this element of like the characters in House of a Thousand Corpses looking a lot more everyday and not like models like you get with like the Paxton character.
Are you telling me Sherry Moon Zombie doesn't get it going for you?
That's not, she's not like the teenage, like, she's leaning into that like honey trap kind of trope, you know, like she's drawing him in. But the guys in Hostel are like, Paxton's a gorgeous man. He's a very beautiful man. Am I wrong?
Man, you gotta
beautiful.
You gotta have a golden tongue to get me going, man. You have to be able to like speak. All right, this guy, the second he opened his mouth, I have to put like a ball gag in him or something. He's just so obnoxious.
Jeff's a personality guy.
They do put that in there. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting the way that you can juxtapose that. You can call similarities between the villains of one and the heroes of the other. They quickly become like, but they tap into that universal thing where escape is like, no matter how bad they are, no matter how boyish and piggish, like they don't deserve to have their ankles sliced.
Yeah, I would say that's the difference between House and Hostel. Like in House, maybe this just speaks to my diseased mindset. But you are kind of rooting for the killers. Like, you want to see people get turned into fish and, like, ripped apart by Dr. Satan.
Yeah, you do eventually because they're almost like blank slates. Like, this is like an in-group, out-group thing. But, like, you spend enough time with the villains, and especially, like, Captain Spaulding, and you kind of, like, you root for them because they're interesting. And you also wouldn't want to get killed by them. And you just don't care as much about, like, the other characters because, they're kind of like blank slates. I mean, there's, like, a sort of primal thing where the final girl is running away and you're kind of like, I hope she gets away because she's the final girl and everything. Mm-hmm. But
that's something we talk a little bit. This month we're doing slashics, so like classic slasher films on Head on a Stick. And these characters are blank slates on purpose because if you feel too bad for them, then it's not fun, you know?
That's true. Yeah, there's an element of fun.
That's something that the Cabin in the Woods, which we covered last week, taps into a little bit. And I was reading a little bit about it after our recording, too. And Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard were talking about how they were tired about, like, this whole... They were kind of responding to torture porn and the elements that they didn't like, you know, quote unquote, about horror. And so those characters in Cabin in the Woods are set up to be sacrificial lambs. Mm-hmm. But you end up caring about them. You want to root for them, despite the fact that they will end humanity if they survive.
Yeah, because they're different than the archetypes that you're so familiar with that you don't care about anymore.
That stoner guy was buff in that movie, man.
He was buff in that movie, yeah. But there is like that, I mean, this is what the torture porn movies are tapping into. You're watching them because you want to see that, right?
I mean, if you don't mind me being slightly more explicit than your podcast maybe always calls for, let's just parallel torture porn to like a sex scene, right? This is what you're looking for. You have the setup. Someone has to come over and deliver the pizza. No one gives a shit about that, all right? You have the foreplay. You know, it's like a little bit of kissing, maybe a little bit of No one really cares about that. Then you have the money shot. That's Rainn Wilson getting turned into a fish. That's Chris Hardwick getting like his lungs torn out by like a mad doctor. You're in it for like the crazy gory stuff. That's why you watch the damn movie. And I'm not saying that makes it a perfect film, but like you got to understand what you're getting when you turn it on. If you're expecting something different, then you're not really watching it for the right reason, right?
And Jeff, do you gravitate towards this subgenre of horror?
I really gravitate towards anything that I feel has a message it is trying to say and executes it well, right? So I like a lot of really gory films. Like I'm a big Herschel Gordon Lewis fan. He did Blood Feast, Wizard of Gore, where it's all just like nasty ass marinara spaghetti looking blood in the 70s. If you're trying to tell me something, like maybe that something is just wow, it'd be sure as cool as shit to see Chris Hardwick get his lungs torn out and you do it well. Yeah, sure. I like it.
Let me ask you something. How come you asking so many jackassy questions?
Oh, you see, my friends and I, we're driving across country. We're writing this book, actually, on offbeat roadside attractions. You know, the crazy shit you see when you're driving across the country.
I don't drive cross country,
But if you did.
but I don't.
Another interesting contrast, I would say, with House and with Hostel. The gore is very explicit in both. But in one, it's just like madcap and like the colors are all zany and the people are going like, whoa, they're getting turned into like fish, weird stuff like that, right? Where Hostel, I mean, it's over the top, but it's much more realistic. It's like eyeballs getting burned out. It's Achilles tendons getting cut. Like, which do you think is more effective? Is it the more realistic stuff? Like you could actually picture it happening. I don't think anyone's ever gotten turned into a fish in all of humanity.
No.
Like, which one's like worse to you, do you think? And
Like,
is it weird to make it fun?
Like harder to watch. Like Hostel is definitely hard. Like when he has to like cut the woman's eye like out of her socket.
Oh yeah, and the pus comes out of the socket.
Oh my god, the
yeah.
green like
It's
the
a Dr. Pimple Popper shit right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
like-
don't be eating that Papa John's garlic sauce they give you with
yeah,
the pizza.
it kind of put it over the top, but like it was still gross. I mean, I think it's harder to watch something like Hostel compared to House of a Thousand Corpses, which dresses up like a lot of its violence. I mean, it hides a lot of it behind like the camp of it all.
The set design, the costuming,
design.
the Mad Max-ness of it
Yeah,
all.
even
it's
like the
very-
editing and everything. Like you have like so many like split screens and like playbacks and extreme zooms and Dutch angles, like all of these like techniques that kind of like make it like dreamy, surreal.
definitely.
almost.
theme parkish too.
Yeah,
I
theme
mean,
park.
like,
Yeah,
goes-
I think you said something like it's edited like a theme park,
It
like
is.
a carnival ride.
It makes a better argument for that than, Marvel movies, honestly. So
Yeah.
Which says you should have targeted this one.
Yeah.
Which do you think does the genre better than, I guess? Is it the one that's just harder to watch, or is it the one that makes it more entertaining?
Oh, I don't know that one necessarily makes it better.
That's a bit
than the
arbitrary.
other.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, well, I guess that's like kind of the final question is where's your hard ticket going to go to? But I mean, like, I think that these two movies, by being different approaches of a similar kind of concept, make an argument that torture porn or splatter horror, whatever you want to call it, is like actually a little bit more versatile than it's been than the term torture porn kind of gives it for. Because that's like a very like dismissive kind of term, I feel like.
Definitely.
When it was coined, I feel like it was dismissive.
Apparently, it's contentious to call Hostel a torture porn movie.
That's
despite the
crazy to me.
fact-
Like, I can't think of any movie that more fits that genre
Well,
than
Saw.
Hostel.
It's
Well,
like-
Saw's not nearly as explicit.
It's like borderline pornographic, like in the beginning, and then I guess you could argue that the violence is pornographic, but like there's a lot of setup, and I mean, I don't know, pornography is not like a lot of setup. Like it kind of gets to the action.
I always wonder why they still do like the pizza delivery thing. No one cares. Just cut it.
Well, this is the thing that you do when you have a movie like Hostel that's very brutal and very realistic. It builds the catharsis for when the tables turn.
Yeah.
So it is kind of crafting this feeling that you are really rooting for our heroes to escape. It's legitimately suspenseful, whereas I feel like something like House of a Thousand Corpses is almost like a plateau, and if you like it, then you're just eating it up the whole time. But there's like, it doesn't play as much with the up and down of tension.
It's a
Yeah.
smaller audience.
Well-
Like, you really got to be into what House is trying to sell you if you want to like it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: we keep going back and forth about like the beginning of Hostel has all like the TNA and the tits and ass, and everyone's like we have like a love-hate relationship with it because at the end of the day we are sexual beings who on some level like seeing that stuff, but also can recognize that it's maybe tasteless and borderline exploitative. And then we get into like the actual violence at the end of the film, and like I said, I literally had to turn away during the eye scene, even though like you it's like a train wreck, like you want to watch it. And so like the whole point of Hostel, I feel like, because it does get to the end and one of the characters has a chance of escape.
Yeah.
and gets away and like starts to fight back even, and then eventually like finds his torturer and mutilates him and kills him. And by the end of the film, I was like rooting for the guy,
Right.
which is in effect rooting for the same sort of like the torture porn,
Yeah.
in scare quotes, that
Or revenge. That's what a revenge
or
narrative
revenge, but
does.
it's catharsis and it's fun even. And like you might go into a movie like Hostel and like be kind of dismissive and be like, oh, it's just violence for the sake of violence and blah blah blah, and oh, it's tits and ass, that's cheap and whatever. But at the end of the movie, I mean, for me at least, it's effective in that it makes me root for the violence. Which, like, I mean,
And then you
sometimes
find
you're
yourself-
the fly, sometimes you're the windshield, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to see them flip around.
but what's so interesting to me is that I'm also rooting for the violence at the end of House of a Thousand Corpses, which also has its, dangles its final girl out and she's given a chance of escape and everything. And you love seeing her go through the catacombs. You love seeing her meet Dr. Satan and everything.
Dr. Satan!
Dr. Satan. And but at the end of the movie, she gets out and climbs into Captain Spaulding's car, and he's driving her right back to the ranch. And there's a sense of like, it's nihilistic, and there's a sense of inevitability to it. And I was like, that's appropriate. So I could see either direction, where you're either just kind of giving into the violence and enjoying it, but also rooting for the victim to escape.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, yeah, I think, throw her to the meat grinder, because there's something there too. They're getting turned into the roadside attractions that they were gawking at in the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I mean, there's a statement. It's definitely more cynical, I would say. House of a Thousand
it's
Corpses.
cyclical. Yeah.
It's cynical. It's cyclical. I didn't get the sense that anybody was going to escape, or if they did, there would be some rug pull moment at the end, which there was. And the whole thesis seems to be like, this is hell on earth, basically.
Yeah.
Nietzsche's eternal reoccurrence, right? There's only Dr. Satan. You can never escape Dr. Satan.
Yeah, it's just like Evil Dead 2. Not Evil Dead. It's just like Grave Encounters 2 when they get on that elevator.
Yeah, or you have like Nightmare on Elm Street at the end of that movie. Like she gets pulled, she thinks it's all like real life and it's a dream, and she gets pulled through the window.
Friday the 13th, when the boat is not safe and the last thing you see is,
Jason Voorhees.
comes up and he's there. I don't know. It's like,
the horror movies can go both ways. They can go that direction where it's like, oh, and they all died at the end, but that's part of the horror. Or they can do kind of a role reversal where our protagonist plays by the villain's rules and starts to torture them, and then they get out, and you're like, yeah, good for him.
Have you guys seen very many new French extreme films?
Like Irreversible.
Irreversible is a good example. Inside, Martyrs.
I haven't seen Martyrs. No.
All those pretty much go exactly what you're saying with the torture being reversed. So that's interesting, 'cause those are all kind of seen as more art house films, even though they're just as graphic, and in some cases much more graphic.
I think like the kind of like the concept there of getting you to end up rooting for the violence, like in a way that is like unashamed, because like you might feel bad for the final girl at the end of House of a Thousand Corpses, even if you feel like her ending is appropriate.
You're kind of like rooting for it a little, though, right?
Well, yeah, like kind of like subconsciously, but then you're very consciously rooting for it at the end of a Hostel, where you're like, yeah, cut that guy's finger off and drown him in the toilet.
Yeah,
because he deserves it. Like,
even though he has a daughter.
There's like a misplaced. Well, I don't know if it's misplaced. Maybe it's not. But it's a sense of like justice at the end that the movie gets you to feel.
So wait, real quick. At the very beginning of Hostel 2, do you mind if I spoil it a little bit?
I did already spoil this for myself. So
okay.
Yeah, it's
the main protagonist actually gets his head decapitated in the very beginning. Like you wake up in bed, it's like a Godfather thing with a decapitated horse, except it's with Jay. So the hunting club, they come back and murder him anyway. Oh. So he never really escaped the violence. You know what I mean? Even though like he had violence inflicted on him, then he inflicted violence, and the violence was inflicted back. It's just a never-ending cycle.
Oh no, and I think that's fine. I think that plays into the because another.
Well, does it take away from the catharsis knowing that he's going to get God anyway?
No, it doesn't take away from the catharsis at all. I think, but I do think you're talking about like a history of violence. The David Cronenberg movie and everything.
It's a good movie.
You think about like the cycles of violence, and I think both of these movies are they're very setting driven. I already talked about how House of a Thousand Corpses has this kind of Western backdrop. It's a Southern Gothic house built on a frontier, built above like these mine shafts, which call to mind like the Old West and everything. It's built on top of like graves of, thousands of undead, just unnamed
weird like
corpses.
mudmen come out of the ground whenever you whistle the right way.
Yeah, there's an actual supernatural element there.
Yeah, but there's also, there's a history of the Old West of genocide and conquering and all that stuff. And, the West was won and, scare quotes, by blood.
Or according to the Olsen twins, how the West was fun.
Yeah. So you have that history of the Old West. And I feel like, and that's a part of American history that, we still grapple with and is important. I think it informs, the setting of House of a Thousand Corpses. I think you also look at the history of Eastern Europe. Obviously, it was completely racked by World War II. Slovakia, I think the state of Slovakia during World War II was a Nazi collaborator, and they sent tens of thousands of their own Jews.
I don't think they were Slovakia. Weren't they?
They were
Czechoslovakia.
They were Czechoslovakia, and then they were like cut up, and Slovakia became like a state. It wasn't like the
maybe that was like the non-Nazi half.
No, it was the
it was the Nazi
They
half?
were Nazi collaborators.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was like the Republic of Slovakia or something
Nobody
like that.
was safe.
Yeah, and they sent tens of thousands of their own citizens to death camps, and then after that, Slovakia wasn't a Soviet state, but it was within like the Soviet sphere of influence, and it suffered under, quote unquote, communism, whatever you want to call that system. Stalinism. And you definitely have that. I mean, it's directly mentioned in Hostel that like the war killed all these men and everything.
And Hostel doesn't seem to care about the cross-culture elements that it adapts into
Slovakia
its
was
villains.
pissed as hell. Like whenever this came out, they actually offered Eli Roth like a vacation or something. And Roth just straight up said, Americans can't even point to Slovakia on the map. This was just, I felt that was just like him being an ignorant American by commenting on ignorant America.
Yeah, and they dress it like the guards speak like Russian. It's all just like this hodgepodge of like familiar
They're all bald and they're
It's
wearing
a
leather
hodge-
jackets.
It's dressing.
Sure. It's dressing. I can't pretend like Eli Roth is some sophisticant who understands the nuances of all Eastern European countries.
He has a degree from NYU.
I'm not. Well, there you go. He's a smart guy.
So he has no excuse.
So he's in student debt. But anyways, like we're talking about like this history of violence, and there is that history of violence, and it begets more violence. Hostel really taps into like the whole industrial violence angle of it all. I mean, like you have like the rise of the industrial age at the end of the 1800s, and then going into like the war, and the Holocaust was very much like an industrial systematized extermination of a group of people.
Well, genocide had been going on forever, but there had never been like giant factories in the post-industrial
on
world.
this level, yeah. And
Right.
at the end of Hostel, they're in like a abandoned factory.
They're in like a factory that if you're like me and you're around film people, you go there and you're like, we got to shoot a movie.
Oh yeah,
here.
yeah. No,
It was actually filmed in like an abandoned insane asylum or something
There
like
you
that.
go.
So,
Exactly. Get the permits and go nuts.
Well, you get a history.
permits my ass, man. It's like kicking a window.
It's interesting, Jeffrey Scott, the host
Jay
of
Scotty, if you're nasty.
Jay Scotty, if you're nasty, the host of Head on a Stick, that you mention insane asylums, because both of these movies also feature very prominently like doctors who and surgeons who are evil, and there's of course a history there.
Yeah.
You look at
You really gotta stretch the definition of surgeon here. Like a surgery, I feel like surgery, you gotta be trying to do something. You're not just kind of like slashing and tearing and pulling out.
Well,
the one
surgery
guy
as a
literally-
playground.
the human body is a playground. No, the one guy even says he's like a failed surgeon, or he wasn't accepted as
His
a
hands
surgeon.
are like shaking like
It's too
crazy,
shaky,
you know?
Yeah. And he's like German, I'm pretty sure. So
Dutch.
He's Dutch. So you have like a very like Dr. Mengele, like Nazi kind of like doctor angle there, which again taps into the history of Slovakia. And then Dr. Satan in House of a Thousand Corpses.
He's just like a weird Spider-Man that lives underground.
Yeah, to me, it's like almost like kind of recalling like asylums and like, the history of what is that when they tap the ice pick?
Lobotomy.
Lobotomies, yeah, it's kind of tapping into that like history of lobotomies and everything. And
Well, and two, I just think he's like the ultimate boogeyman. Like,
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
he's a sophisticated guy and a doctor. In a sense, like, he just has this inverse thing where like a doctor's supposed to be wearing a tie and all sophisticated and all that. And
Yeah.
Dr. Satan looks like a crazy fuck.
Oh, sure, and he's kind of like, in a way, he's like the patriarch of like a madhouse of people who could all pass as lobotomized or, psychiatric patients. So
They're either on too much medicine or not enough medicine.
That's
Yeah.
the whole thing about like
Right.
like the hallways of the House of a Thousand Corpses are all composed like they knew there was gonna be a movie there. We gotta
Yeah.
make it look pretty, We gotta have this big door that like reveals where these people probably just live, and I don't know. The
always
infrastructure
wondered
doesn't
this.
make any sense. It's not sustaining.
Well, it's like
What
all
are
these
you talking
places,
about?
like Texas Chainsaw has this. Actually, Wrong Turn doesn't do this. They just have like a giant property. How the hell are they paying the taxes on this place? Like, what kind of income do you have? And all day you're just like throwing knives at like victims pinned to the wall.
I see the way, and Jeffrey Scott, the host of Head on a Stick podcast, you guys did an episode of the X-Files, Home.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I kind of view the Firefly gang as like the people from Home who live on this like, piece of property that is, completely its own like country. Like they raise their own pigs and drink, water from their well. They never have to go out and get anything,
Did they just toss down like a few ears of corn for Dr. Satan? Like, how's he feeding himself?
Oh, well, Dr. Satan's a supernatural entity. He doesn't have to eat.
He feeds
Ah,
on
there
his
you go.
victims' suffering.
Oh, there you go.
Something like that.
Yeah, he eats metaphorically.
Filter feeds.
Yeah,
through
he eats
suffering.
figures of speech.
That is kind of a funny thought, though. It's just like Otis out in a field, just plowing potatoes or something, probably doing like the Manson speeches to himself.
Yeah.
He's got to practice them.
I think
Oh, do you think he monologues in a mirror before he goes to a victim?
Well, there's
I
almost-
am the boogeyman. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that wasn't good. Blah, 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 blah.
Should I put the emphasis at the beginning or at the end? Or is it like I'm asking a question when I put it at the end? It's definitely like there's an element almost of like mockumentary to House of a Thousand Corpses when they
Initially, it was going to be a mockumentary, and they
Yeah.
decided to change it. Hostel was too, actually, I think.
Yes, it was, and I think they changed House of a Thousand Corpses because like they actually lost footage. Like Rob Zombie couldn't get anybody to take his movie. He pitched it around when it was like done, but it lost footage because I forget who originally was gonna.
Universal.
Yeah, they
It's
were like.
ironic, 'cause now they have a Universal House of Frights for their like Orlando thing. That's all House of a Thousand
Oh
Corpses.
yeah, and like I said, it's edited like that versus like Hostel, which is not structured like a mockumentary, but kind of was supposed to be. And
maybe like a travel log, maybe. Like I could
Anthony
see
Bourdain going to Slovakia.
that.
yeah,
No reservations.
No reservations at all.
My name is Louis Gova, and I know this man, but I know the truth. You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
We should maybe talk a little bit about the role of authorities in the two of these movies. Just real
Oh
quick.
yeah, they're completely inept in House, and they're just not there in Hostel. So.
Well, no, they're there in Hostel. They're collaborating with the killers.
Oh well, yeah, that's fair. Okay, they're engaging in it. Yeah.
Which I just, that's a horror trope, I guess. Like you have to figure out a way. Like nowadays, like the problem that writers have to overcome is like, okay, everybody has a cell phone. So how do we overcome the fact that anybody can call for help at any point in time?
I can think of like 5 distinct horror films in the last like couple years where they have a scene specifically showing the phone smashed and some character yelling, "Oh no, the phones!"
Or Jeff, do your Chad
it
impression.
doesn't work out here.
Exactly, yeah. So you have your Chad moment. It doesn't work out here.
I mean, to be fair, like how much cell reception are you getting in Slovakia anyway?
I
don't know. I
I've
couldn't
never-
point to it on a map.
You should ask Eli Roth. I heard he has a degree from NYU. But you have like, it's just a horror trope. I feel like I love the cops in House of a Thousand Corpses who are so beautifully inept.
Yeah, Goggins does a great just kind of, they're playing Nancy Drew over there by the house, by the ranch.
You guys pick up on that like 20-second scene where it's just slowly zooming out when they're about to shoot Goggins.
I
It
know.
just
I was
doesn't
like,
end.
why am I focused? This is the longest take in the whole movie without cutting. Like it definitely stands
You like
out.
get up, make yourself a sandwich, and come back, and it's still going on.
Yeah, there's this. Yeah, so
And you
there's
know how big Walton's head is? Like you can't miss
Dude,
that
no,
thing. with
you
the
can't
like,
miss
what
it.
are we doing?
lay off Goggins.
I love Goggins.
Goggins.
I'm glad I got the hair transplant.
No,
It looks
that's
better now.
that's like one of my favorite shots in House of a Thousand Corpses. That just like slow kind of like crane out, and you're just like waiting for that gun
The
shot.
most suspense in
It's
the whole
the most
movie.
suspense. And there's another scene. I guess it's the first. I can't remember the first or second character. Probably the second one.
Mhm.
The guy who ends up escaping. He gets put into like the chair, and he's like, "What the hell is going on? What the hell? What the hell?" And then they close the door, turn off the lights, and it's complete darkness. And you just hear him like struggling to get out, and then he starts crying, like
Mhm.
whimpering, and the scene goes on and on and on, and just letting those scenes play out. Like I was those two scenes reminded me of each other, just the way that you can let
Yeah.
a moment play out. And torture porn, I feel like in a lot of ways is unflinching. And I think those are two scenes that aren't like torture porn scenes, but are very much like in the spirit of torture porn, of just being
Emotional
like,
porn.
Yeah, emotional porn. They're just like, let this scene play out, let you feel something for this character who is in dire trouble.
Yeah. Well, one of the scenes or just shots that stands out to me in Hostel is before like we actually see any of the torture. It's a camera pan of this doctor who's just finished up in one room. It pans. He walks down this long hallway, and there's a girl in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
She's strapped down, and she's screaming the whole time, like, don't do this, don't do that. He just slowly walks down the hallway. As he gets closer, she gets more desperate. You don't see anything,
nope,
but you feel it. You feel like the
That's
pain.
more harrowing to me in a lot of ways than like the actual stuff we see. Like I can handle like the cutting the Achilles heel and all that stuff, and even the blowtorch, which is pretty.
That was the only one in both films that really I was like, God damn, this was in theaters.
One last point I kind of want to talk about real quick. Where was horror in the early 2000s, right? Because, and let me kind of set up a little bit here, because this is post Scream. So Scream has come out.
I can give you mine, but like,
here's my
I'll show
setup.
you mine if you show me yours, just like back in 3rd grade.
Just like, we have Scream comes out. You just threw me off, man. you have Scream coming out, and it's, you know, this take on the, and Jeff, you know, we talked about Cabin in the Woods, and we talked about, you know, Tucker and Dale last week, and this spoof horror. And then you look at something like Scream, which comes like 15 years before those movies, and kind of, you know, does it first, and in my opinion does it better than both those two movies.
It is probably the second film to do it, and the first was New Nightmare, also by Wes Craven. So you're onto it. What you're saying is correct.
He's doing like a Mel Brooks thing, basically, where he's almost like, I'm going to kill this genre because I'm going to make a parody of it, or, you know, and
torch the genre and
torch
run.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, horror was such a joke at that point. There'd been like 11 Jason films. Like you had to go somewhere that was going to at least lightly mock it.
And it's kind of looking like the thing that's going to be the next big thing at the end of the 90s is like the Blair Witch Project. And you kind of have like that kind of going on. But it's not really until like late 2000s that with Paranormal Activity that I think studios kind of pick up on the whole like found footage thing.
Yeah, found footage had that one giant film, and then you had Wreck, and you had Leslie Vernon, and that was about it. So you're right. Yeah, they didn't really like go into the craze until the early 2010s, late 2000s.
Right. So here in the middle, this little divot, the end of the 90s, and you know, before the late 2000s, you have movies like Hostel coming out and House of a Thousand Corpses. You have Saw. You have horror film remakes like House of Wax, which we considered putting up against House of a Thousand Corpses.
Right.
It was all remakes and torture porn. Those were the two big things in the 2000s.
So that's what you feel like these movies are emblematic then.
Absolutely. Hostel is extraordinarily emblematic of the 2000s horror film craze. House of a Thousand Corpses is almost its own thing because zombie is just such a character. Like there's not a lot of films out there that feel like a zombie film, but I think that it fits the era as well. And honestly, I think most people would say the 2000s was a pretty weak decade for horror, followed by the 2010s and the 2020s, which have just been like dynamite.
Oh, yeah. I would tend to agree that the 2000s, early 2000s were pretty weak. Jeff, do you have an opinion on this? I know you're not as much into horror.
Well, no, I think that we talked a little bit off mic about the elevated horror coming as a response to the state that it was in, which I think a lot of people
definitely
thought that it needed a jump start or something.
And well, obviously Joss Whedon thought that.
Joss Whedon thought that, but you know, it almost does a thing like the Daniel Craig James Bonds do after Austin Powers destroys that like series. Is like you have to take it very seriously. It has to be almost like prestige entertainment, and that's where elevated horror starts kicking off with like the Babadook in 2013.
Yeah, that was probably the first one.
Yeah, I think it gets cited as that a lot.
I would argue, and we're going to talk about this next week, and this is a little preview for next week, that The Descent is an early inheritor or progenitor, I guess, of that the elevated horror moniker.
The Descent's fantastic, and yeah, there's definitely a bunch of good films out of the 2000s, but I struggle to say The Descent is emblematic of the 2000s itself in the way the Babadook is of the 2010s.
No, 100%. The Descent is not emblematic. I think The Descent is ahead of its time. That's my
certainly,
argument.
yeah.
I think it's ahead of its time. I think it kind of prefigures the elevated horror of stuff like the Babadook, like thematic horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah, trauma as the villain.
Trauma's the villain.
It's trying to be like an art film that just basically has the horror elements to sell. I mean, that's what, Ari Aster straight up said this. He's like, he's not even a particularly huge horror movie guy. He just knew that was the script that would sell, so he did Hereditary first. And now he's doing his weird, giant penis monster / COVID / both of them are wrong, Antifa is evil shit, whatever the hell he's on now.
Yeah.
Stuff that's a lot worse than Hereditary.
bitch!
I get a lot of money for you. And that make you my bitch.
I think it's time that we get to the questions. How do you guys?
Yeah, I'm feeling questions.
Quest away.
Yeah, let's give it to Jeff. Let's let
Yeah.
Jeff ask
Ooh.
Jay Scotty, for those who know him.
Jay
one.
Scotty, host of Head on a Stick.
You don't have to-
Co-host of Head on a Stick podcast.
Yeah.
I used to be a reporter, so if my questions are bad, that means the College of Media didn't do its job.
Don't say that. I'm currently enrolled there as a grad student.
Jeffrey Bogus talked mad shit off camera. This is
not
confirmed.
true. That's not true. That's not true.
Okay. So, there is a scene in House of a Thousand Corpses where the characters are made to dress like, it was lambs, right?
Rabbits.
Rabbits,
okay.
yeah.
Dress like rabbits and run away. If you had to pick an animal costume to wear while you're being chased by psychotic madmen, what animal would it be and why?
I would channel a fast animal, and maybe it would make me believe that I was even faster. Something like a cheetah or a roadrunner. Yeah, I'd be a roadrunner. Yeah.
It's kind of like Kirby, where if you're dressed as the animal, you get the powers.
Yeah.
Meep, meep.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
What about you?
I would probably dress, either I would dress as a lobster or I'd dress as a T-Rex, like one of those inflatable T-Rex costumes.
That's not going to get you very far.
Shut up.
Okay.
So I would do one of those costumes where it's like two people as a horse, and I'd be the front horse, so that if they were shooting at us, the back horse would get it first.
But what if there's only just you?
You're not going to get very far like that, but it's fine.
Dude, why are you trashing everybody's animal costume
I'm going
ideas?
for practicality
Sorry,
here.
we didn't dress as a
I feel like
cheetah.
two people can run twice as fast, right?
I just want you guys to live, all right? I love you guys.
If it's just me, then it's still going to be the horse costume, and I guess I'm just going to be dragging half a horse costume with me.
All right. I'll go next.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So splatter horror / torture porn has recently made a comeback with the Terrifier trilogy, which we have been remiss in discussing this episode. But obviously it's been kind of a phenomenon, especially 2 and 3 when they came out.
A lot of Terrifier posters in here.
Yeah, lots of Terrifier posters in this particular house. And anyways, is this a flash in the pan? Or are we on the verge of a splatter renaissance? A splattersance?
I think we're on the verge of a renaissance because theaters will show whatever the anymore. They don't care. They will play Terrifier and have a guy get his wiener cut off. They'll play Terrifier and have another guy get his wiener chainsawed off. A lot of genitalia mutilation in these films.
That's true, yeah.
Theaters will just show anything. They don't mind. And people love to see this kind of nasty stuff in the theater.
Yeah.
I think,
And
yeah.
they'll sell hot dogs at those showings too.
Well, movie theaters, they're kind of at the point where they're really trying to draw people in.
Yeah.
I think why the Terrifier movies might have gotten so much traction is from people who really enjoyed this era of horror that
Are nostalgic about it?
maybe not nostalgic about it, but they think maybe it gets a bad rap and they want to see what new things you can do with it. Art the Clown is like a subversion of a lot of horror.
He's the last protagonist that hasn't been done because he's the jokey Freddy character combined with the unstoppable Jason character. They've never had a silent character that was also a jokester. He does Buster Keaton jokes basically. It's great.
And there were a lot of people pissed off at the end of the first Terrifier that he uses a gun. He doesn't have that rule where he doesn't shoot people, which is the weapons of choice for all these slashers are quite often part of the iconography. But Art the Clown will just shoot you if you try to get away.
He will also shove a pipe down your throat and then blowtorch the pipe and then put rats down the pipe, which, let's face it, man, gunshot. Any day of the, if it was 50% between me getting shot in the head or getting a rat shoved down my throat, and then a 30% I'll survive, I'll just take the gunshot. I'm not playing that game where I might get a rat down my throat.
Was that 130%?
I'm very bad at math. I taught English, and then I quit that too, so I guess I'm not good at that either.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would say we're at the verge of a renaissance. Horror is definitely in a place, I think you see it with Weapons, where it doesn't care about that elevatedness anymore. Weapons is a really funny movie, and horror is just kind of all right, let's just do whatever we feel like.
I think it is kind of going for feels more nowadays. I think I agree with. I think people are starting to kind of poo-poo the A24 elevated horror stuff, which
there was a lot of really bad ones that all came out almost back to back.
Oh yeah, A24 has fallen from grace to a certain extent, and I mean, I saw Together and stuff like that, and I didn't think it was great. I might have loved it 10 years ago.
I saw Bring Her Back, and I thought it was just another trauma's the real thing, and it didn't do anything different with it. And it was only as interesting as they could make the kid in that movie look messed up, you know?
Yeah, with
like,
the big belly.
With the big belly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ironic because
Little
Talk
pot
to
belly.
Me was so much better, and that came out like a year prior.
And
See,
I
I
like to
disagree
talk
with
to me a
that
lot.
personally. But
Okay, yeah.
Anyways.
Tristan's not a huge talk to me.
I'm not a big Talk to Me fan.
It's
but
just because you've never hung out with your friends and just gotten possessed by a ghost by handshaking an old witch's claw.
No, but I have a feeling tonight's the night.
I got it right there in the closet. Let's break it out.
All right, I'm going to come on here with my first question. Which movie would you prefer to see in 4D? No clarification.
4D. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with House of a Thousand Corpses.
Really?
Yeah, because it kind of feels like the movie was edited by someone on acid, and maybe they'll drop me a tab.
Let's give you. I don't
Would that
want
make
to
it-
watch that movie on that. I've never done acid. I'm a clean, straight edge kid. I'm not going to do it for the first time while I'm
Don't say
watching.
anything.
I don't
Jay
recommend
Scotty.
doing it for the first time during this film. Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like if it's 4D, they're probably going to like cut the bottoms out of your chairs for the Hostel screening, something like that. Get some James Bond.
Oh
torture
my
going.
God.
Yikes. Well, look, I do not want to smell Captain Spaulding's rotten ass clown fried chicken breath, okay? That's why the 4D is a no-go for me for House of a Thousand Corpses. Just that character's breath alone.
Okay, that's honestly a good logic.
So you're going
Do
Hostel?
you see his teeth? Looks
I'd
like a
probably-
jack-o'-lantern.
I
So you
think
guys
I'm
are
gonna.
both going Hostel for the 4D experience?
Look, they'll just
You're gonna
splash some blood on me, man. I'll just
No,
wear
they're gonna
clothes I
f-
don't care about.
They're gonna torch your eyeball out.
I think I'm gonna have
you
a.
can still watch a movie with one eye.
I'm gonna have a seizure if I see House of a Thousand Corpses in 4D. I almost
You
had
want
one.
your
In,
eyeball torched out.
I feel like what you're saying there isn't like 4D. That's like community art house performance kind of thing. You
it's
know?
like scratch and sniff. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is.
I just thought we are going to smell some nasty stuff and have some intern with a bucket of blood. Like,
I just was imagining that like the guy would come out and torch your eyeball out.
Yeah.
Like I was imagining like they would do the things to you that you're watching.
yes, I'd rather not have my eyeball torched. All right. I mean,
Okay, well then House of a Thousand Corpses, we all agree.
Yeah, I'm still going Hostel, but
worst Airbnb: the Firefly House or the Elite Hunting Torture Dungeon?
The torture dungeon.
you think that's the worst one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really impressed with the set design of the Firefly House. Like I said, it's like they knew that they were in a movie.
At least there's probably some towels and a functioning shower there.
You think there's a functioning shower in the Firefly House? Did you see Otis's hair?
Well, you know, when I was watching House of a Thousand Corpses, I was thinking about like the house in Wrong Turn and how it's like so grotesque, and like the villains in House of a Thousand Corpses aren't that far off from them, and yet they keep a very interesting decor and free burlesque show.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It's eclectic.
There's a couple of factors that have to come into play here. If I have to watch that goddamn burlesque show, I am not doing House of a Thousand Corpses. I'm on vacation. I'm not trying to watch Baby saying 1930s show tunes. That sounds awful. And also, rich people go to this like hunting lodge place, right? Maybe there's like really nice velvet couches right off scene, like not in the torture chamber itself, but there's good accommodations like right by it.
Yeah, and maybe there's a giant swimming pool behind the Firefly House that we didn't see off screen.
There's just all this luxurious stuff that they've really taken care of.
Yeah,
not
I mean, if we're
the-
just making bullshit up, then
Oh, okay,
yeah.
that's
there's a
rich
lot of stuff
people-
underground the Firefly House. They got like a little labyrinth of. They've got like their own catacombs.
They have their catacombs, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, okay. You know what? You guys convinced me. House it is.
There we go.
Oh,
We're all
yeah.
booking our stay.
We are not a house divided. Airbnb divided. All right, my number 2 question. Who's a director you'd like to see tackle this genre? It can be anybody who hasn't done the genre.
For me, this is exceptionally easy. Wes Anderson. It's gotta be Wes
That
Anderson.
is a good answer.
Like, I mean, he's already so meticulous and serial killy. Like, I feel like this guy could easily make a film about an artiste that's just so. He has a little mustache and a bow
Yeah.
tie, and he just stitches people together into art pieces, and everyone kind of looks at it and they go,
Okay, next question. Is this person played by Bill Murray or Adrian Brody?
Adrian Brody,
I feel like
absolutely.
Adrian Brody, yeah.
absolutely.
All
Or
right.
like a Jason Schwartzman.
Or Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman
yeah.
would be good too, yeah.
Maybe
Is it
Michael
Schwartzman
Cera.
or Schwartz?
It's Schwartzman.
Why do you need the man part? He's already a man. Just call him Schwartz.
Yeah,
I also think the color palette, just like the pastels with all the gore, would be really cool.
yeah, that's a good one. Jeff, what do you think?
You know, what I was thinking when you first posed this question was like, Rob Zombie is kind of like, he's almost like a Baz Luhrmann kind of maximalist director. And I think when I think about Baz Luhrmann, I think about Elvis, and I think about Sofia Coppola's response in Priscilla. And I think it would be really interesting to see Sofia Coppola direct a splatter horror minimalist.
As funded by Apple TV.
As funded by Apple TV, where, you know, it's like they play around with it, but it's all that scene, that panning shot. You actually, like, it always cuts right before you see anything, like, too graphic, you know?
Is it like 20 minutes of just Scarlett Johansson in a hotel room just sighing, followed by, like, aggressive murder? I like Lost in Translation, by the way. That was an unfair shot.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like Under the Skin.
Okay, yeah, that's Jonathan Glazer. He just did the Nazi one where we don't see any of the murders.
Zone of Interest.
Yeah, Zone of Interest, yeah, which was fantastic.
Yeah, very good. I would do Tommy Wiseau.
That would be very
You're literally tearing me apart, Lisa.
Yeah, that's,
Lisa.
that's pretty great.
What a torture, Mark.
Yeah, that would be, and it'd be probably really reminiscent of Big Shark, which I just keep thinking about now that our Big Shark episode is out. It's such a fun
Am I ever going to be able to see this, or is it just like going to be in festivals forever?
Dude, I saw it and I'm not even sure that I actually did see it, honestly. At least not completed.
Okay, I've got my next question. So say you exist in a world where the events of House of a Thousand Corpses actually happened, and you have a routine checkup coming up, and the day before, your primary care physician had to bail, and you've been informed that they've been replaced with a Dr. Satan. Do you cancel? And if there's a cancellation fee, how high does it have to be for you to take the risk?
Yeah. So do we know for sure that this is the Dr. Satan?
You do not know. It's just, it comes up on your chart.
Is it like Dr. Satan? Like it's a foreign name or something?
No, it's Satan.
Yeah, I'm not going there. No.
Well, what's the cancellation fee?
Any amount. I will sell my house before I go to Dr. Satan. Ain't happening.
What do you think?
Well, the American healthcare system is already so shit that I'm probably not at the doctor's anyway because I can't afford it.
Okay.
Yeah, if I had to, I'd probably take the risk.
Okay. I'm probably going to cancel that. Yeah, I won't go over like $100 for a cancellation fee. I might go up to like 60, 70, but it's probably, I don't meet a lot of people with the last name Satan. I really hope it's not him, but I also hope that, it's in a public enough place that I can call for help and somebody will come running.
Okay.
All right. Best person to take on a road trip, Captain Spaulding or Ollie, the king of swing?
Captain Spaulding doesn't travel across the country.
Good point. I don't know, to spend a weekend with. You have to spend 2 full days. You have to have activities. Maybe it's frisbee golf. Maybe it's cooking fried chicken together. Maybe it's repairing your torture chamber / serial killer memorabilia store.
I'm going to go with Ollie. Ollie seems like he's a good hang, right? Are you talking when he's still alive, or are you talking like his severed head?
It's not a severed head, no. Just when he's in full swinging and kinging mode.
Yeah, he's fun. He's good.
Yeah, I feel like I could learn a thing or two from the king of swing.
You're definitely going with Captain Spaulding.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, Spaulding is, like, every word he utters is, like, pure, just Falcon amazing. I love it, Faulkner-esque, whatever the term for it would be. William Faulkner, he was a writer.
Yeah, right on.
All right, my last question. What's a kill / torture technique that you have to turn away from? And what's something that doesn't bother you that would probably bother most other people?
I can't do bugs, especially eating bugs. It's like any scene where bugs are going in someone's mouth, even if it's just like somebody eating a cricket, because that's normal for the culture. Can't stand it. Really disgusts me. Like, it makes me vomit.
So it's like the mummy situation?
That would be a good example. Or someone just had like a funnel and they're making you eat bugs. Like, the rats didn't bother me, but bugs, I would have ran out of the room.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, on that topic, I'd say anything that kind of has to deal with animal cruelty, I would just feel bad about the animal suffering.
Humans are animals too, my man.
Yeah, they are, but
so like electrocuting an elephant, Thomas, wasn't that like the Thomas Edison?
Yeah. I don't want any animals to suffer. It's bad enough that it's me.
Okay. What's something that like doesn't bother you that you feel like most other people are bothered by?
Oh, I could eat a bug.
Okay. Yeah. For me, like, I can't do anything like genitalia related. Freaks me out.
Ooh, don't watch Hostel 2.
Okay.
I thought you said you hadn't seen Hostel.
I watched the kill count, all right?
Okay, that's basically...
I'm one of those guys.
Nice.
And something that doesn't bother me, like, I'm not as bothered by like the toenail and fingernail thing that like
I had a feeling that was going to show up. Have you ever tried it? You ever tried stuffing a toothpick down your fingernail?
I mean, well, I used to pick my nails all the time. Does that count?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Will like a nail grow back if you take the whole thing off?
Yes, but it doesn't grow back the same because I lost my fingernail when I was a freshman. My girlfriend at the time slammed my finger in a locker. She actually might be listening to this. Did I deserve it? No. Joanna.
Nice. Very beautiful story.
Yeah.
Love.
Okay, I got my last question here. Which house do you think actually had more corpses?
Oh.
Well,
easy.
do you mean literally or like just over the years? Because they were like burning all the corpses in Hostel, so just a bunch of ash.
Over the years, the overall count, I would say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's hard. Actually, it's harder because you definitely see more corpses in House of a Thousand Corpses because there's the catacombs. You see thousands of corpses. Or maybe hundreds.
Well, it's only 8,000, so it can't be thousands. Just think, Tristan, think.
Dude, we already established you're not the math guy here. So. But I do think if we're drawing on like the history of violence that we were talking about earlier, you look at something like Hostel and the history of violence in Slovakia with the war and everything, it's got to be Hostel, right? It's the meat grinder.
I definitely think Hostel, just over the fact that this is like a global organization that draws people in, they have it down to like a science.
Yeah, you got more population density too.
It's systemic. That's what it is.
It's like one family of rednecks versus a whole world full of billionaire assholes, right? Like the billionaires are going to be
the classic underdog story.
That is kind of what Devil's Rejects is, for better or worse.
Elon Musk versus Captain Spaulding. I would watch the hell out of that.
It's like a Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's a hard ticket matchup. I think we have reached the end of Hard Ticket. Week 2, spooky Hard Ticket to
Halloween.
Halloween. Yes, Jeff coined that phrase because after you tried to do Hard Spook It last week, right?
Listen.
That sounds like a
died.
very unfortunate 1930s lost film.
I believe in second chances. And hopefully, if you're listening, you do too.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in second choices. So what's your first choice?
Wow. Look at that.
Great. Great.
This is my co-host, folks. He knows what he's doing.
So we're going to ask you first, Jeff, even though I think we already know the answer. What is your hard ticket and why?
I mean, if like the audience could just see like a photo of me, they could probably guess. But it's gonna be House of a Thousand. Yeah, like I'm a big fan of just the over the top, just gleeful, like it's nihilistic, but in kind of like let's have fun with it sort of way. It's just much more my vibe than Hostel, which is a very clinical, sterile film. I don't mind extreme films that go into more dramatic elements, like New French Extreme. I just didn't click with Hostel all that much. Just not really. I don't know what it was beyond the sterility of it, I guess. And I just don't like Roth's other films, and that probably sours me on it more generally. So definitely House for me.
Now, I was going to ask if you generally preferred Zombie to Roth.
Not really, because most of Zombie's films are awful, but like his good ones are pretty good. So
Okay.
What's a Roth movie that you like more?
Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, that came out last year, right?
2023. But yeah, that was
slasher.
Thanksgiving is a much more basic slasher film, but it has really nasty kills in it. And I thought that it's just kind of a back to the basics fine movie, but like God, he's had a lot of absolute garbage.
Do you like
Absolute
Green
garbage.
Inferno?
Hate it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to know. This is my first from both.
Yeah, Jeff, what is your hard ticket going to go to?
I'm going the opposite direction. My hard ticket's going to Hostel. I think Hostel functions more as a movie than Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. It has like genuine suspense in moments. It has more of just like a narrative. House of a Thousand Corpses to me, just like it feels very one note for a majority of it. And I really liked it at the beginning, like the first 20, 30 minutes. And then once you get past the burlesque scene where they're all hostages and they're all just being tortured, it just kind of doesn't go anywhere interesting for me. It just kind of does the same thing over and over again. Whereas Hostel, I was legitimately curious. I feel like the suspense builds. I don't know if Paxton's going to get out. And it does, Tristan, kind of the thing that we were talking about where it's like, actually creating this catharsis that doesn't make me feel good about necessarily, but it does play into the cinematic form in a way that connects with me more.
Oh no, I cheered at the end when he ran over the people who baited him into the torture factory that he escaped from.
Well, and he didn't just run him over. He backed up over the one girl's head. So
Yeah.
he's like, oh, missed one.
He came back for her, yeah.
All right, Tristan, where are you going?
Yeah, this is a really tough choice for me, and I've been debating it in my head for the whole past week. In my mind, both of these movies are solid 6 out of 10s. Solid
Wow,
6 out of 10s.
very interesting analysis.
This is my ringing endorsement. I like them both. I think they both work in different ways. If I were to pick one to watch right now in a movie theater, I would probably go with House of a Thousand Corpses.
Ow!
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, I just don't think I can sit through it again,
Really?
honestly. I got a
Have you
headache by
tried
the end
drugs
of it.
and or alcohol?
Yeah, no, I didn't with that one. Did I with that one? I don't think I did.
I think I just appreciate something a little more loosey-goosey with this. I think dramatically Hostel works better, undeniably.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't disagree.
yeah, dramatically, and it's got the suspense going for it. I think I just appreciate something a little more madcap from Zombie, who you can tell he may be kind of spackling in the gaps a little bit, but I don't mind it that much. I kind of vibe with it. I thought it was fun. I thought it had a good energy to it. I don't get me wrong. Hostel, I think, is right there. I think it's a close competition between the two.
Well, Jeff, it's just like my childhood growing up. 2 against 1.
Oh, wow. I will say I really do appreciate the artistry that went into the set design of House of a Thousand Corpses, the costuming. I like a lot of the elements. It just holistically just kind of didn't work for me. Here's something. We're going to do a little bonus thing at the end of this hard ticket episode. We're going to give out our Platinum Pike and our Broken Stick holistically for both of these movies. So, Jeff, why don't you explain to the listeners what this means?
I appreciate that. So, I was watching Dead Meat one day, and I thought, let's rip that off. So, the Platinum Pike and the Broken Stick. Platinum Pike goes for the best kill. Broken Stick goes for the worst. Are we doing one for each, or just both of them combined?
Both of them combined.
Ooh, okay. Off the top of my head, for both, I would go Platinum Pike still for House of a Thousand Corpses, although Hostel has a lot of great ones. It'd be Chris Hardwick getting bisected by Dr. Satan. He's got a scalpel jammed in his head. He's still having his guts ripped out. And Dr. Satan's got these spider claws or some shit. I mean, it's amazing. I love it.
He's still alive in that scene, right? When
Not
he's
for long.
Yeah, but that's the terrifying aspect of it. It's he's playing with his brain while he's still breathing.
Yeah, seriously. Just honestly, the guy who got his tendons cut in Hostel kind of got off easy. They do most of the mutilating after the fact.
Oh, what is your Broken Stick?
Probably the Japanese girl in Hostel, where you just see her little toe get cut off and then nothing else. Does that count?
Sure. Yeah, it's a death, isn't it?
Well, we don't really see her die, but one presumes you don't get out of that situation.
Yeah, that's fair. Tristan, Platinum Pike and Broken Stick across both movies.
Yeah, and I'm going to contradict myself here. My Platinum Pike goes to Hostel's Natalia kill, where he runs her over. He comes back to run her over.
Yeah.
It does feel it feels satisfying. It does, because you feel like it's
cathartic.
earned.
Yeah,
you root for it. It's a good kill. My Broken Stick goes to the woman. She's not the final girl in House of a Thousand Corpses. She's the other one. I think she's Rainn Wilson's girlfriend.
Yeah,
and
in the bunny suit.
Yeah, she sort of just runs away, and then Rob Zombie's wife gets on top of her and stabs her. I feel like it's kind of anticlimactic. They're definitely better kills between both films.
Yeah. Well, you definitely took my Platinum Pike, because Natalia getting run over was going to be mine. I'm still going to say it, though. I think that was the most satisfying of all, especially because he turns around and hits her again. And he gets all 3 of them the first time. That's a threefer. So, yes, he does become a murderer in broad daylight, but
it kind of had it coming.
Yeah, it kind of had it coming a little bit. I think my Broken Stick's probably going to go to the murder of Josh, who you think is kind of the protagonist of Hostel up until the point where Paxton just finds him just cut open. You don't actually see him die. He's dead by that point.
Right.
We see his throat get cut.
Oh, you do see his throat?
Yeah.
Okay, well then that moment it clearly didn't make an impression on me. So yeah, that's going to be my my Broken Stick.
And do you guys do shrunken heads at the end too?
Yeah, that's just our rating for them.
So how many shrunken heads do you give these 2 movies?
Hostel will be a 5. House is probably a 6.5.
6.5 shrunken
Yeah,
heads.
6.5.
Is that head split laterally or
I was thinking more horizontally, so just have like kind of like the tongue and the bottom jaw sticking out.
there's a tongue attached to the skull?
Yeah, it's kind of going out,
Well, clearly you're not an anatomy expert either, Jeff.
I am not. This is true.
You gave both
Anatomy on a
films.
stick.
You gave them 6 out of 10
Yeah,
shrunken
yeah.
heads.
Is that? Do you guys do a 10 scale? I thought it was a 5 scale.
We just kind of do whatever.
All right. Well, then I give it 12 shrunken heads out of 20 shrunken heads.
Not bad, yeah. Yeah, I'll do the same. I'll give it 12 out of 10. I'll give Hostel 12 out of 10. And then I'll give
12
House
out of 10?
12
out of 20?
It was that good.
It was so good.
Yeah, 12 out of 20, and then I'll give Hostel like 10 out of 20. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, House.
House,
I'll
10
give
out of
House
20, yeah.
10 out of 20. So
5s and 6s.
those are my shrunken heads.
Okay, yeah, fair. Cool.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Sorry if I clowned it up a little too much. This is normally a much more serious, even-keeled, sober podcast than I think Head On Stick tends to be. So.
No, Jeff. We were happy to have you and bring you on as our resident horror expert. Go ahead and give us your plugs.
Sure, yeah. So, Head On Sticks on Instagram. It's on Spotify. That's the podcast. I also do comics, creatively titled Head On Stick Comics. You can find that on Instagram. I have a bunch that I've done in the past. Night of the Living Dads, about killer scarecrows. The Drunkard Out of Space, about a alien that feeds on drunks. I'd be really screwed if that guy ever came around. And the one that we're trying to release on Halloween, it's called Last Funhouse on the left. It's about a clown that murders people in a funhouse, but there's also like giant like monsters that turn into horses. People getting their arms chainsawed off with like balloon animals shit. It's cool, man. It's kind of like House of a Thousand Corpses in that respect. It's just, I had a lot of ideas. It's like, the hell with it. Let's do it all.
Hell yeah. And what's your Letterboxd handle?
That Jeffrey guy, I think.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, follow
I'm not
Jeff.
as active on there as I should be.
Oh, well, it's honestly fine. I'm pretty active on Letterboxd. You can follow me at Jeff Blogus, all lowercase, all one word. And you can follow the podcast on Instagram at Blue Sky at Hard Ticket Pod, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan plugs.
Yeah, you can follow me on Letterboxd at Tristan M. And you can follow me on Instagram at Tristan___less.
As always, thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, keeping our podcast looking fresh. And thank you to Aaron Griffin for mixing and mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly in a truly awful falsetto.
I was going to ask, before we go, can I have an attempt at the falsetto?
Sure.
It's a hard ticket at the movies.
That was beautiful. That was great. If it doesn't peak the audio, I'll definitely
I think my cat
use
just jumped out the window.
Don't quit your day job.
My day job's a falsetto singer.
And next week, we're going to be continuing our Hard Ticket to Halloween marathon, bringing on Aaron Radcliffe, also from Head on a Stick, while we watch The Descent and put it up against Barbarian. So a movie from sort of the early 2000s to a movie that's coming in the end of the 2010s? Or
I'd call him my better half, but really he's like my better 2/3. Like he is the meat of everything.
All right, perfect. Well, we're excited for that conversation. Jeff, thanks again. Until next time, we will see you guys at the movies.
It's a hard